Voltron Network.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the DC versus Marvel podcast, where we talk about the latest DC and Marvel movie news. My name is Uz, and I'm in the blue corner representing DC Comics, and and once again representing Marvel Comics is my boy Eds, and yeah. We're actually on schedule for once, which is interesting, right? So we can actually talk about news that has actually happened now rather than several weeks ago. So there's a lot of stuff to talk about in today's episode. We've got Superman, we've got Supergirl, we've got Wandavision, we've got stuff from Image Comics, we've got we can even talk about Wesley Snipes trying to try to circumvent Blade by his own project, which I also thought was quite funny, something that I read there today. So yeah, loads of stuff to talk about, man, and stuff that literally is just breaking news right now, including Spider-Man there as well. So guys, keep tuned, and we'll be talking about all of that, man. So, bro, where do we start today, man? Because because there's so much stuff to talk about. Oh, before we do that, guys, make sure you stay tuned, because on the other show that Ed's does, Ed's messaged me like about a week or so ago, saying they've basically got a source who watches some movies and stuff like that, and apparently saw James Bond, I think it was before, and has also now seen Zack Snyder's Justice League.
Yes.
And Ed's asked me, like, is there any questions or whatever that you wanted to ask? So I put a few kind of non-spoilery questions out there for you guys, and I assume Ed's has a lot more information than the stuff that I kind of asked him. So it'd be interesting to go through that. So we'll be keep tuned, and we'll be going through that there a bit later on. But first, I have to offer I have to offer a little retraction, because I because I made a podcast a few days ago about how basically the last two episodes of WandaVision made me hate the series so much, right?
How?
I was just like, I was like, I can't watch this thing anymore. And it was so funny, because I was watching episode 7, right? And I was just sitting there, and it was kind of like, while I was watching it, I was basically cringing throughout the whole thing, right? And then
let me quickly ask: Did you ever watch back in the day Malcolm in the Middle?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Did you ever watch Modern Family?
Yeah.
So what? How could you hate it? Because they were tone perfect.
No, I'll tell you. No. The reason why I didn't like it is because there are two things. So the first thing happened in episode 6, right? So the one thing that I always say about the MCU, when people say, "Oh, the MCU is realistic," I'm like, no, it's actually the exact opposite. It's not realistic at all. And you've got to imagine it in its own universe, right? Because once you imagine it in its own universe, it works really, really well. So you can't imagine that as being realistically in our universe. Because if you do, then it's like, okay, where the hell was the army? Where the hell's the the police force, right? You basically got people like Winter Soldier, who basically can destroy tons of Thanos's army with a gun. And it's like, what the hell would a tank do? What would an F-35 jet do, right? It would basically have destroyed almost the entire army, right? So it's like, for me, if you bring it into reality, it makes no sense. So then when they were talking in episode 6, there were these things where they basically brought in internet memes, right? And I was thinking, oh my God, are you guys actually going to this level of bringing internet memes into this? When they were talking about, no, Wanda is so powerful. She held Thanos off until Thanos actually made it that, all of his, basically all the ordnance rained down on her. And then the other guy, Agent Wu, is like, no, well, I thought Captain Marvel Marvel did really well. It's like, how did you know this was happening? You didn't know it was happening. You weren't there.
Secondhand knowledge. They just heard from a person who just reported it.
It's not. It's basically the writers have been like, okay, this is the internet chatter. Let's get into the internet chatter. People who are Marvel fans who have been talking about this for the past 3-4 years are going to be like, oh yeah, they're talking about us, they're like us, right? And it's just like,
so that little conversation made you hate those 2 episodes.
That when I watched episode 6 and I thought, okay, this is okay, and then when they did that, I was like, no, just don't bring that conversation in there, because it peed me off. Then episode 7, I felt like I was watching The Walking Dead, right? Because in The Walking Dead, basically what happens is you have something happens at the start. You have basically nothing that occurs throughout the entire thing. And then you have this stinger at the end that makes you want to watch the thing there afterwards, right? And it was just, it reminded me of a mixture of that and, to another extreme, Zoolander 2. Have you ever seen Zoolander 2?
I never watched number 2.
Oh my God, don't
barely enjoyed number 1. It was too much.
So what happens in Zoolander 2 is that they think that the audience who is watching it is like dumb, basically, right? So what they do is they have tons of cameos, right? But what they do is when they have the cameo, they say the full name of the person that is there, and then they explain, basically, like Zoolander goes into an explanation, so that it's like the audience is so thick, not only would they not pick up this cameo, who it is, but also at the same time, they have to be explained who this cameo is. So there's a bit where Justin Bieber, like, basically gets killed, right? Mm-hmm. And they make it, and they're like, oh yeah, Justin Bieber, like that. And it's like, yeah, we know it's Justin Bieber. Everybody freaking knows it's Justin Bieber. Then he's talking about like Billy Zane and Tommy Hilfiger and explaining their like backstories and stuff like that. And it's like, do you actually think that the people who are watching this are complete idiots and don't know pop culture?
Because lot of people wouldn't. If my mum watched Zoolander 2 on TV, she wouldn't know who any of those people are.
Well, that's the thing. This is the problem. So one of the things that I like about about kind of shows, and especially like the Marvel shows that came out on Netflix, is that they had tons of Easter eggs, right? But it was like, okay, half the fun of these Easter eggs and these little kind of cameos and stuff like that is that somebody might get it, like you might get it, or your mate might get it, or whatever, but not everybody will get absolutely everything. So then you might say come out of the cinema, or come out of watching a show or whatever, and be like, oh yeah, that bit with whatever, and then your mate's like, what bit? What are you talking about? Because they've missed it. Half the fun is that discussion between people to say, oh, I saw that bit, you didn't see it, let's explain it, all that kind of stuff, right? In these shows, right, in those last 2 episodes, it seemed to me like it was like, okay, we're gonna make it that nobody misses out on anything, that nobody can basically miss out on not only any Easter egg, but not understanding the show, and let's just baby this audience into kind of understanding what's going on. And when that Agatha song came on, I was like, am I
loved it.
Oh my God. I was like, am I in the Wizard of Oz or what?
Everything. It was Agatha. Oh, I love that song because it gave me Monsters, Addams Family nostalgia. I was like, perfect. Perfect.
That all I could think of when I saw that was like, ding dong, the witch is dead. Basically, like, I'm back in bloody 1930s, watching Dorothy.
That's the point. And I love the fact that it's Agatha, this obscure Marvel, mostly Fantastic Four villain, which is a possible, who with all the rumors that are going around, who knows, that they just threw her into this. It's like, of course. Loved it.
Yeah. But that's the thing. That's why it's like, that's what I'm saying. When it comes in, it's like, oh, I'm Agatha Harkness. And then they write Agatha Harkness. And it's like, okay, yeah, right. You know, maybe somebody who was watching this might have missed out on the fact of who the whole name of this character is, but it's like we have to basically make it extremely obvious that you know who this character is, right?
Yeah.
And there's no subtlety in it whatsoever. As opposed to this next episode where it seems like it's written by a completely different group of people.
Well, those
Which,
episodes were still within the confines of the sitcom structure. This week's episode was the first where they weren't inside of that structure, so they didn't have to present things in that format anymore. It was just, and it was no jokes as well. It was all just straight down the line, straightforward.
yeah, it was very much like the tone of Age of Ultron kind of tone. So basically, like when you have when you had the Avengers tone. The Avengers tone was obviously much more, had a lot more jokes in it and stuff like that. And Age of Ultron was much more serious, and this really seemed to be like you know, much more like that. And I really I liked this episode because it was kind of, not because of the way that it revealed stuff, but because more of the fact it was like, okay, the just everything seemed to work better tonally. I the previous episodes is kind of like, I've kind of felt some of the stuff has just been all over the place, and sometimes you watch it and you think, why the hell am I watching this? Right, and I guess
fun. Like, I admitted the first 2.5 episodes of this whole show I wasn't into, but once they really clicked in with the tone of Malcolm in the Middle and the tone of Modern Family, it worked for me. Like, I just kind of just had fun with it. Just with Vision sitting there on his thing, just talking conversation. I just love that shit. It was hilarious for me. I just like, yeah. But this one was the best one they've done, because I did like the backstory for Agatha. The whole thing with her coven all around her, and her just sucking from the dark arts, just drawing their power from them and turn them into corpses, and then the whole background of Wanda. It's a shame they couldn't have gotten that other actor though to be Pedro, the original one. Just a cameo at this point.
I would because that guy seems to be under contract with another studio. I'm just wondering whether it's due to that or what, or nobody cares about these kind of things these days, or what. But yeah, he's I mean, because he seems to be making lots of Warner Brothers content. So, but I don't know. But yeah, it would be interesting if they, you know, if they did do something like that. But yeah, I mean, obviously the reveal was great. I love the one bit that I really loved in this is when they gave the vibes of Magneto being experimented on, right? And it's like, eventually he unleashes his power, and with Wanda, it's the same kind of thing. Like, I guess the Mind Stone has triggered something in her to, you know.
Yeah, they kind of they alluded to the fact that she always had some little sliver of power, possibly, but the Infinity Stone just amplified it. And I love the little vision that she had of Scarlet Witch with the full costume. Like, okay.
Yeah, when I saw that, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, definitely. I was like, oh yeah, this is going somewhere. This is going somewhere, man. The last episode is gonna have a lot to tie up, right? I guess, or is it gonna leave it completely open ended for Doctor Strange? That's the other thing.
It kind of has to a degree for that whole thing to continue across, and Doctor Strange isn't even the next thing. It's Spider-Man first. So I don't know how much of an explicit effect. I know it's supposed to tie into a degree, but how much? Who knows, man. But even just the fact that she didn't have Vision's body, that was a bullshit lie. Manifested another version of him.
Insane. Just from so basically, so that's the thing. So this is we know obviously in the comic books is like, you know, we talked about this before about her destroying all the mutants, right?
Yeah, House of M.
And the question is it going the opposite way for this? That she's gonna be, you know, as Ed was saying in a previous episode about literally, is this gonna be the creation? And now we know obviously the title of the Spider-Man film, which is No Way Home, which is like, okay, is she gonna create something at the end of this that basically just whacks out all the universes, and now it's like he's trying to find his way back to his own universe and he can't do, and he's like, it just, yeah, just madness. Like in his own in his own city, like there's another Spider-Man operating, or there's just
just
that.
wakes up to the see
Yeah.
Tobey Maguire just fly past his window like, what the
Yeah. That's the thing, man. It's just mad. It's just absolutely mad if that that is kind of happening. And I will obviously, like, the what's the guy called who plays Hulk again? I can't remember what his name is.
That guy.
That guy. Yeah,
that guy.
The guy who plays Hulk, and the kid who plays what's his name? Tom Holland. They're always spoiling stuff when they come on tour, right? And I think now, like, he's kind of been like, oh, I've learned my lesson now, and
because now he's saying it's all rubbish. No one's cameoing. He's kind of going the other way, which let's just presume that he's not lying. That would be a bummer. I don't think he is telling the truth, but if he was, that would be such a bummer, man. Like, we've created this version in our head of what this next film could be, and it turns out just for him to be, I don't know, lost somewhere. That would be such
and I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty sure he's lying. He's either lying or he doesn't know 100%. And the reason being is that basically there was this thing, you don't listen to these Ray Fisher, all these kind of podcasts and all these kind of things that he does, right? But it's like, basically, when the Batman v Superman stuff was being kind of like thrown out there, that we're gonna do that as a sequel to Man of Steel and stuff like that. According to Ray Fisher, basically, like, Jeff Johns, who was like who looked up to Feige as like his the guy who he wanted to be, basically, he basically went to Feige and said, like, Warner Brothers are trying to create this, right? And then Feige's like, right, okay, well, then we need to get on and do our own mission, and that's where Civil War came out. So and preempted
Ray Fisher said that.
Yeah, but there's also been like other rumors and all that kind of stuff coming out to say that this was the preempted by Jeff Johns. I mean, Jeff Johns is one of these guys who, like, I kind of put an idea out there that there's two Jeff Johns, right? because there's one who creates all the craziest comic books ever, and there's another guy who apparently, like, sabotages every film, is racist to, like, black people on set, and is like and is basically, like, just going around to the to the opposition, like, telling them certain things. Now, right now they don't even need that, because they kind of know, okay, well, the opposition who's trying to get their stuff started as an underdog is like, well, we've got to get in our heavy hitters by putting Batman in the Flash film, and it's like, okay, and doing a multiverse mission in that way. Well, they're going to preempt it by putting all their Spider-Man heavy hitters in this.
But the thing is,
one thing,
that Flash should have come out time ago. Like, it's Warner Brothers that have completely pushed it back. That should have come out, like, what, 2 years ago, if longer.
Yeah,
so it's their own fault. You can't say anyone else has come in and undercut them.
No, but that's what I'm saying, is that storyline, basically, of them saying that there was meant to be a Flash and a multiverse and all that kind of stuff, has been going on for a long time. And now it's like, well, we can create the same storyline with our own characters and get it out way before Warner Brothers are even thinking about it, and then it's like totally preempted that entire situation. And now, when I see the Superman information that is coming out, I'm kind of like, okay, well, you guys are doing stuff too late now, and it's gonna really look quite bad when this stuff kind of comes out, because I've been following the Superman story for the past 4 or 5 hours.
We tie out WandaVision
Yeah,
before
let's
we
tie
jump
one
into. So where do you think it goes from this point on? Because now we have a Vision in the bubble, let's say, the good guy. I don't know what limitations his ability has within that confines, but then you've got this weird ghost version that's gonna.
Yeah.
Where does it go?
What is that? Is that because I thought, because I wanted to find out what that was, and some people are saying they call it the anti-vision or something, right? It's like, I don't know. I got to read more about it to understand, but it's like, obviously this is the Vision that is run by the shadowy corporation kind of thing, basically, right? And then obviously they're going in there to kind of go against one. But to me, it kind of feels like this is kind of like sending Superman to go in Zatanna and John Constantine's world. It ain't gonna bloody work, because they can easily destroy that character with magic. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
is Agatha gonna be like a spanner in the works to stop that from happening? Like, who knows what effect she's gonna have? She's just too desperate trying to find out how Wanda gets her power.
Yeah, so at the end she was like, okay, this is chaos magic, and you are you're the Scarlet Witch, basically.
Scarlet Witch,
so at the start, when she was doing stuff and they were saying like, okay, you were trying to like animate things, and you were trying to create kind of she's in essence doing a similar thing to what Wanda was doing. And they said, okay, this is not allowed, and this is you have to be punished there for it, basically. But now she's kind of found that Wanda's doing it on another level than what she's being able to do it.
Yeah, well, she explains that she has to have her powers works in the confines of how Doctor Strange's abilities work, and that you have to have incantation spells, it's actual magic, whereas Wanda, it's weird because it's not really, it's like manipulating reality, so it's not really magic, but yeah, I guess she doesn't really know that, so it's like, where does this power come from?
But yeah, basically magic without spells, basically,
just
right?
think it and it happens.
Yeah. So this is I suspect, and I give props to Ed coming out with this like weeks ago, that I suspect what's going to happen is that Wanda is going to end up just completely kind of knocking out of kilter the whole the whole universe, right? It's going to be like that level, like literally she's going to knock everything out of kilter, and it's going to be like now mutants are going to be part of the universe. There's going to be multiple Spider-Men going around. The Eternals that were basically like, where the hell were Eternals when all this Thanos battle and stuff they're now going to become part of the reality. It just knocks literally everything out of place. And then basically what this now becomes is, because then Doctor Strange is now taking the Tony Stark role, in that he's going to have to unravel, rather than using tech, using magic to understand what is happening here and try and unravel it and bring it back,
to fix the multiverses and put up the barriers again.
Yeah, and I think that's the way that they're gonna bring mutants in and Fantastic Four in and all this kind of stuff. It's like I every week I get my kids these Lego comics, right? 'Cause I love Lego.
Lego comics.
Yeah. They have this little character on the front as well. So you build this character, then they have the comic inside. So they have like Lego Princess comics or Marvel comics or whatever, right? So this one basically had like Doctor Doom in, and Doctor Doom was like going up against the Avengers and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, this is an omen to say that the Fantastic Four are gonna be somewhere in it, man. So yeah, I mean, like anything, the way that I kind of look at it now is like I'm not very used to watching TV shows, and what I mean by that is that like I would watch say for example when I was watching like Doom Patrol or something or something like that, there would be 2 or 3 filler episodes, and I'd be like, oh God, what the hell have you done with this episode, right? And it just throws me out, and then it takes something really good to kind of bring me back in. And I think that's what's happened to me with this. I've had 2 episodes where I've been like, oh, why? But now,
yeah. But
kind of thing.
you have to admit your tastes are very particular. It takes a small thing to completely throw you off of the ride.
Yeah,
and then you're completely off of it. It's like, that sucks. That's terrible. And it's just like
that is true.
One line of dialogue that just kind of put you off.
That is, yeah, that's true. That is true. Especially like if I see something and it's like it kind of doesn't make quite a lot of sense.
Which is weird.
Then it
like
will.
BVS, and that whole thing don't make sense, but you still love it.
Yeah. Do you know why? That's what I was saying there before. BVS is reptile brain, right? BVS is literally reptile brain. So, you see something and it's like okay, well, we see Bruce Wayne, right? And he basically is now in his worst possible kind of nightmare, in the fact that his parents have just died and he's like down in this hole with all these bats and stuff, right? And it's like reptile brain is pinging off, oh, Batman, right? And then it's like you see you see Batman hiding out in the shadows, and it's like people are like scared of him and stuff, and you're like, it's literally reptile brain. That's what I'm saying. It's like you don't end up thinking about it critically, because your reptile brain is telling you that this is DC content, and you have to kind of love it. It's kind of like, well, you know what I mean?
It's DC. If that was Marvel and they had a Martha moment, boom, that whole, not even just that film, that whole phase, all the films within that phase would completely be a write-off for you.
I don't think so. I don't think so, because I kind of, well, in that phase, what would be in that phase? It would basically be Man of Steel, BVS, right? Because Suicide Squad, I can't even say that was a film. I don't even know what that was when I watched that. But it's like one of my mates, an aerospace engineer, right? Who went to school with me, and we all went, like 10 of us went to go and see Interstellar, right? He's sitting there, right, and he's muttering under his breath, and I'm looking at him like, dude, you're right, yeah, dude, you're right. He's like, yeah. Afterwards, this guy was so pissed off, yeah. He's like, that wouldn't happen. That scene is wrong. That's wrong. And I'm like, oh, dude, this is not the film to take you to, right? Because he's like, yeah, this thing makes no sense. Like, basically, obviously, he's spent his whole life in that field of aerospace engineering, and then you're showing him something that makes no freaking sense. It's kind of like, with me, my whole thing is like, I can watch films continuously, right? But with TV shows, I really struggle to sit down and kind of watch it. So when they get like filler episodes, like 30 minutes, where it's just like nothing really happens. Like, for example, in that last episode where they showed 15 minutes of them just him and Kat Dennings just driving around, like being like, oh, we can't get, oh, there's school children crossing the road now. Oh, look, there's some construction workers. Oh, let's I'm gonna go down and have a chat outside, out on a deck chair about about my life.
But it was part of the story. It was explaining that Wanda was keeping him away. Her depression was like, she doesn't want to see him.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Do we need to really be told that, or do we need to think to ourselves, oh, wait a second, why has he got these blocks that are coming up? Is there some reason there for it? It's like, it just dumbs everything down. But like I said, in this last one, it didn't do that. It didn't baby you. It didn't make you think, oh, I'm being kind of like led through this. It did require a little bit of of thought and stuff like that, and it gives you kind of talking points afterwards there as well. So
I did like that moment where we got to see I think probably the first time that Wanda and Vision really kind of just sat down and got to know each other. That was nice because you never really got that in the films. It just kind of skipped straight to them being a couple in Scotland somewhere or Ireland.
Scotland, yeah, Scotland, near the Edinburgh Castle, which is interesting because if you have a flat near there, bloody hell, man, that's like like a $2-3 million flat that they're living in, paid by Tony Stark probably. But yeah, that was really nice because he came in and then she suddenly turns into the black and white and then like smiles at him, and it's like for that what. 10
oh no,
seconds,
I was talking about when they were just sat on the couch.
Well, they sat down, yeah. So what I mean is, you know, when she walks in and she changes and then they look at each other, and obviously they go, for that little period of time, she was happy.
Yeah.
And it was like the first time in a long time where it's like, I'm settled, I'm happy.
And I love that they explained why she's so obsessed with the sitcoms because of the little, I don't know whether they're bootlegs or official, but the little DVDs her dad used to bring home. That was their quiet, safe moment with the Civil War outside. So that was nice.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing. This is what I said about this episode and the fact it doesn't baby you and it doesn't kind of lead you through stuff. It's like, obviously there's a Stark Industries weapon there. We know that from Ultron, there's a Stark Industries weapon, and they see that, and that's what makes them hate Tony Stark and stuff like that. If this was in episode 7, there would have been a monologue being, yes, this is a Stark Industries weapon that has been made by Tony Stark, and this is the reason why Wanda and Pietro hated Tony Stark, and this is why the events in Age of Ultron occurred. They were literally, and they make a song about it. This is the reason why. This is the reason why Age of Ultron occurred, because of Tony Stark.
But the thing is, I also have to think of the amount of people who I know who don't watch any Marvel movies, and they're only watching this as their first thing. It's like, they kind of need explaining, to be honest, for those people. So it's a balance.
Why would you watch this?
I don't know.
Why
I hate that.
Watch this as the first thing.
That's my biggest peeve. Someone who would jump into this, or I hear people that say that they don't watch anything, but they watch like Civil War, and they're like, I don't get these Marvel films. I watch that Civil War. Like, what other ones did you watch before? Oh, none of them. That's the first one. It's like, what? How can you expect to love something if you just jump in halfway? It's like,
I honestly cannot wait. Like 6-7 years time, give me sitting there, me, my son, my daughter's not really into these, but if she was, then fair enough. And literally being like, okay, first Avenger, let's get that out. Thor, Iron Man.
Which is what me and Mo are doing on the Talking At The Movies podcast. Go give it a look.
Are you watching all of those again? Are you
watching
all of those things?
Because Avengers coming up next, the first one.
Yeah. I've actually got all of those in steelbooks. I kind of like ordered. These like amazing new covers came, so I just kind of like ordered those because I really like the first phase. Right, for me is kind of the first phase I thought was awesome. It's after that I had problems with, but I don't know how well they hold up. I haven't seen it for a long time.
First 4 doesn't hold up particularly well. I think first Avenger, Captain America, best in the phase 1. Besides Avengers, in my opinion.
More than Iron Man? You say it's more than Iron Man?
I personally think it does. Iron Man's still good, but I don't know. I just love the style of that first Captain America. I think it really I think by that point they knew what their formula was. They knew how what they were doing. I think it works the best.
Yeah, I remember the first Iron Man. I was astounded by the visual effects. Like when Tony Stark is standing there in his Iron Man outfit, it literally looks like a dude in an Iron Man outfit in the scene, right? Like you can watch Black Panther and stuff like that and be like, this really looks like graphics have kind of taken a dive. But on that Iron Man, it was like, man, the way they kind of animated the battle damage and stuff on the thing, it's just amazing. So I would definitely want to see that again. I can't wait to show them all the Dark Knight stuff and things like that as well. So that'll be awesome, man. And then
so we'll thumbs up. for Wanda.
Yes, definitely,
Can't wait for it goes.
definitely.
But now we got to
So
get into that
that's
Superman business.
yes. So if you guys don't know, we've had breaking news that came out about an hour or so ago that J.J. Abrams is going to be making a new Superman. Could be a reboot, could be a recasting, could be whatever. I've seen stuff that has just come out about 20 minutes ago, from sources that generally get stuff correct about DC stuff, saying that they're going to be going for a Calvin Ellis Superman, and this is going to be like a multiverse kind of situation.
A Black Superman, if you don't know who that is.
Yeah, which to me is interesting as hell, man, because Calvin Ellis Superman story is like he's basically like he becomes the president, and the president Superman, right? For you guys who don't know, this Superman is based on Barack Obama, right? This Superman is actually based when Grant Morrison created this Superman. He's like, I based this Superman on Barack Obama, right? Okay, so
so conservatives hate him then. They have to hate this version of him.
Yeah. So they actually have Superman becomes the president, and he runs the White House with the assistant of his AI computer called Brainiac, right? And basically, and at one point they basically have all these. This is the thing that is going to kill off right-wing conservatives, right? Because they'll go mad. There is this one point where basically you get all these refugees that start coming in from this other planet, from this alternative Earth, right? Because this kind of portal opens up and they all come in. And the reason why they're there is because there's an evil standard white Superman there, who's basically like ruling this kind of Earth, and treating it like whatever. And then basically Calvin Ellis Superman and Lex Luthor defeat that Superman, and they accept the refugees, and everything's all fine and dandy and stuff like that. So it's interesting if they're gonna go down that route.
If they do, it has to be Michael B. Jordan. Like, we've heard that he's had talks with Warner Brothers, and that Superman was something that came up. It has to be him. Can't be anyone else.
Has to be. The only one who can. I mean, he's got the personality, he's got the physique, he's got the young enough guy to do it, athletic, got the name, got the fan base, all that kind of stuff. He could do it.
It's gonna be a mess, though, man. The reaction, because
the reaction's gonna be a mess because
mainstream people don't know about this character. So
not only do mainstream people not know about this character, but also J.J. Abrams' track record of what he's done to franchises.
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams is like J.J. Abrams is like one of these dudes who basically you'll say, mate, can you go and do some work on my house? Can you pay my driveway or something like that? He'll pay half of it, right, and then walk off, and they'll be like, dude, what the hell have you left there, right? And it's like, well, I might sort it out at some point, but if he ever does come back and sort it out, it's going to be like completely disheveled path that he's basically all the edges are all wrong and bloody just I
would have said if he hired him to paint and relay your driveway, he would tear everything up, strip the paint, but then he'd paint everything to look exactly like it was right before he did that, identical. It's like, it looks exactly the same. This is what I wanted. I wanted something different. It's like, why though? It's perfect. It's perfect exactly how it was.
One thing we are going to see though is a bloody lens flare from Superman's laser fish.
Yeah,
it's guaranteed to be seen. As long as they don't turn Superman into Kylo Ren, edgelord, flipping kind of guy, or turn. I
don't
don't
know
know.
what you're gonna get, because he can do good films. Like he does have talent, but it's just not consistent. You know, you just don't know what you're gonna get, the good JJ or the bad JJ.
I think with J.J. Abrams, the first ones are consistently good.
Yeah.
Right. I'll always say that, people hate on The Force Awakens, man. But when I watched it, I couldn't see anything wrong with it.
Fun.
I kind of, when
Same
you
as Star
watch
Trek.
after Star Trek first one, Cloverfield first one, he even the first 2-3 seasons of Lost, fine. Is afterwards when he's asked to continue it that it's like, mate, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Even what's that other thing? Alias?
Yeah, I love Alias. But
Alias,
last
yeah.
season or last two, yeah, kind of
Exactly. That's what he does. So he creates something and it's like awesome. And they're like, JJ, can you just come and just do another one? Just like, just carry this on, right?
Throw something together.
And he's just like, yeah, and he's just like, no, I want to go to another franchise now and start it off, and do that. From that, in a way, I kind of think to myself, well, okay, he can. You've got the classic JJ beats. There's gonna be a really good soundtrack. There's gonna be great visuals. There's gonna be loads of entertainment.
It's gonna have a Spielberg warm undertone to it.
Yeah, and from that, can I then say that I would not be looking forward to that? And no, I'll kind of say, yeah, it will be interesting to see.
Did you ever read the script for the Superman he was going to make? What's it called? Flyby, I believe it was called.
Yeah, that was a little bit odd. There was some odd stuff in there, but I don't know. I mean, the one problem that I always have with any of these things is Warner Brothers, right? They just cannot. It's like it's like sometimes you might have a boss, right? And you have been doing something for a long time, right? And your boss has never done it, right? They've basically been told what the end result should be, and that's it. They have no idea how to get to that result, right? And they come over you and they start saying, no, you should do it like this, you should do it like that, and you're like, look, yeah, I've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this in the particular way. Let me get on, let me do it, and I'll create the result there for you, right? Warner Brothers is like that annoying boss that literally just like cannot just stand in the corner and let you get on with it. They will just come. They'll be like, "Oh, JJ, could you just change this around a little bit? And like change this little bit and change that and stuff like that." It was like Zack Snyder's interview, right? That he had this long ass interview with like Grace Randolph, and then he did this other interview there as well. And it's like, all that stuff about his daughter and the suicide and all that kind of stuff, right? That's not really 100% true. Right. So basically what happened was Zack Snyder created this 4-hour cut of Justice League originally, right? And he cut it down to 3.5 hours, right? And he took it to Warner Brothers and they're like, nah, we don't like this. It's way too long. You need to cut it down to 2 hours, right? And he's like, there's absolutely no way I can cut down a 3.5 hour film down to 2 hours, right? So he went back and he changed it there a bit, and he changed it to like 3 hours or so, right? And he went back to them and they're like, nah, still too long. You need to cut it down. There's no way we can get this out in cinemas, right? So he kind of just refused, and he's like, there's no way I've already cut this 4-hour film down to 3 hours. So I've taken an hour of content out of this film, right?
Like devil's advocate, you have to kind of be like, there's no way, even 3 hours, there's no way that they want this blockbuster that they want to play over continuously in the cinemas to be that long. Like, it's obviously, so I don't know what he was thinking. He obviously knew it was going to be that big because the script must have been like an encyclopedia.
Yeah. And then the thing is, he should I guess the problem was that he wanted Justice League 1 and Justice League 2
split, yeah.
But they were like, put it in one. So So yeah, so then they're like, oh, you need to cut it, you need to cut it, and he's like, it's just not possible. Then obviously the tragedy happened with his daughter and stuff like that, and he's like, there's no way I can cut this down, and they're like, okay, mate, go and take a break, right? So it's kind of like, okay, yes, the tragedy did happen to his daughter. Yes, he did want time off for his, for his family and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, there was a lot more behind that in the fact that Warner Brothers did want to manage that. And I kind of think to myself, okay, did they say the same thing to Peter Jackson when he was making Lord of the Rings, when he was making these 3-hour long films? Like, okay, mate, you need to cut this down to 2 hours, or did they just say, just get on with it or whatever? And Peter Jackson had his own production company, right? So he kind of.
What were the theatrical? They were like 2.5 hours, the theatrical versions, because it was like the uncut ones, isn't it? On DVDs that were the 3 hour,
uncut ones are like
ones.
4 hours. They're like 4 hours long.
All of it? Damn.
Yeah. They're like, if you watch all three of them, they're literally 12 hours, right? Even when you watch the ones, I can't remember the theatrical cut. When you watch the ones that are on, so you can watch the extended edition or the normal edition on the Blu-ray. The normal edition ones, including like the credits and stuff, are 3 hours. And then then the extended is 4 hours. So literally like 12 hours of content. Even the Hobbit, right? All the Hobbit films, right? The theatrical versions are like 2 hours 40 minutes each. They're like long, like crazy long. So I don't know whether they'll kind of just like, after Man of Steel or whatever, we're just like, we just want you to do this and get out, which I would guess, and BVS. So I reckon what happened was that they saw BVS, they didn't like it, and would just like, just do it, get it out in 2 hours, see you later, done. That was their plan or whatever. But there's some like funny stuff that's been coming out about that, like some executives been going like, right.
Doesn't sound like the language of an executive, if I'm honest.
Exactly. It sounds like tabloid, exaggeration, right? But it's like,
so crazy.
It's just hilarious, man. Like literally, like, oh, so that an executive would do that, and then there's like, it's weird. All this stuff is coming out now because you have to kind of think a lot of this is marketing, like stuff like when Christopher Nolan is, said to Deborah Snyder, don't ever let Zack watch this because he'll break his heart.
Crazy. I think partly they feel comfortable doing this because Whedon is under the bus, like his body right now is going under the wheels of the bus, round and round, crushed, and it's okay to shit on him right now because he kind of deserves it with everything else that's going on.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I kind of, in a way, it sometimes makes me feel a little bit sorry for Whedon, right? And the thing is that Whedon knows how to do stuff in not that stuff.
No, I was gonna say,
but I'm talking about the Justice League stuff, because he knows how to do things in one way, right? And you're basically like, you're being brought in by these guys who are telling you, we want you to do it in this one way, and he did it in this one way, and it's like, of course it didn't bloody work, because he's in effect reshooting the film, and it doesn't make a great deal of sense. But in a way, you ask somebody to do the job and they do the job. How can you then criticize them therefore it, because they've done the job in the way that you told them to do it? I don't know, man. But yeah, let's get away from that a little bit, because we're going to be talking about Justice League again later. So I don't want to make this a full Justice League show. And we'll talk about something that actually I found quite interesting. Amazon seem to be trying to slowly creep up and trying to make their own shows and stuff like that. And there's an Image Comics show called Invincible, which I kind of saw in the comic book news about. And I thought, okay, what is this about? And it's interesting because it seems like it takes a lot of beats from the Peter Parker kind of,
That's what people love about it, because it does invoke that feeling, and it's beloved. It's been around for a good few years now, because it's a teenage hero who right at the very beginning of him discovering his powers, and it deals with that sort of teenage angst and the family dynamic as well. Like his dad's a superpowered individual. So I guess, yeah, that's the lens that people see it through, and it is similar to why people loved Peter Parker back in the day. I've dipped into the comics a little bit, but I haven't never really gone the full stretch. I've always meant to sit down and just go through it all, but I've never have. So I'm looking forward to seeing the show. It's violent as hell.
As a general thing, when you're looking at Netflix and you're looking at Amazon, forgetting about comic book stuff, what do you think about the quality in comparison of Netflix shows to Amazon shows? Do you think they're similar, or do you think anyone has the edge over another?
Yeah, well, you think of Netflix, you've got what, Umbrella Academy, and I think that's what, Warrior Nun, which what with
Daredevil,
Netflix,
Punisher.
oh well, yeah, of course, yeah, can't forget that. Yeah, that's not fair comparing. If you include the Marvel stuff, then you're gonna give it to Netflix in general, but outside of that, yeah, I'll give it to Amazon because The Boys, and this, if it's anywhere as good as it looks, could be great. Like, don't get me wrong, I love Umbrella Academy. That's continued to get better as it keeps going. So I don't know. I guess it really depends on when they do their Millerverse stuff that the Netflix is doing. And Sandman, that'll be get a better idea.
Sandman will be interesting. I actually, as an aside, I've watched 5 episodes of Expanse now, so I kind of like I could see how people are saying this is a slow burn, and it's gonna
still
like
very early into that. Yeah,
it's very early, but it's interesting because it's kind of like when I watch stuff like that, I watch the the new films and stuff that come out on Netflix and stuff like that, and it's not fair comparing a film to a series, but a lot of the stuff that comes out on Netflix I find is the quality I don't think is quite there.
It's not consistent.
But then when you watch something like The Expanse or The Boys, you kind of think, okay, it seems like the quality is a bit higher. It's not HBO level, don't get me wrong, but it seems to be one step above the Netflix kind of stuff.
Expanse is a little different though, because it didn't start on Amazon. It started
did
on
it start on something else?
I think there was like 2 seasons and it got cancelled from like Sci-Fi, and then Amazon bought it because Bezos apparently was a big fan of the books. So it pays to have nerds be rich with their own streaming platform. They will save shows that they love.
Why couldn't Jeff Bezos love DC, man? yeah, that would be hilarious. But yeah,
continue with Expanse. Don't let any gaps, because
no,
2-3 weeks and you'll completely forget everything.
No, do you know what I'm doing? Is I've got I have that lunch break period where I literally, like, all the staff, they go to the staff room. I stay in my surgery and I watch The Expanse. just to break up the day and stuff like that. So yeah, that I think is gonna be quite interesting. Have you heard about Wesley Snipes's master plan? So Wesley Snipes, right? He's pissed at Blade, man. He is pissed because he's been doing this campaign for a while, like, bring me in, even if it's as a cameo or an older guy who's mentoring Blade or something like that. Or he's been talking about it on Twitter, on his social media, interviews, being like, he badly wants to be part of it, right?
He knows it's the only thing that keeps him in relevance, really, because nothing else. That was his only real franchise.
That's true.
And he fucked it up.
That's true. Wesley Snipes is an interesting character, man. I remember when I was at university and he was like, they found him in Africa somewhere because he's evading tax or something in the US, like a bizarre storyline. Like,
even before that, he was apparently just a dick to work with. I remember Ryan Reynolds and Jessica Biel, when they were in the third one, they were just saying that he was just a horrible person to be around.
Oh yeah, that is. Do you know what? There is an amazing thing that this guy's done on YouTube where he talks about all the stuff, all the shenanigans that happened on that thing, right?
Yeah.
That basically Wesley Snipes wouldn't talk to anyone on set and stuff like that. He would literally come in, say his lines, and then go away. And it's like, it's interesting in that film. There's so many jump cuts, right? There's so many bits where you're looking at his face, and then it jump cuts to somebody else, and you think, oh, that's the way the directors doing the film, right? But actually you realize it's because Wesley Snipes didn't want to interact with anyone else on the set. Is bad.
Why do people get like that? Like, so many actors get like that, of that generation, man, of that age. It's like, especially when it's like young actors who now are big stars. Like, you don't want to treat those actors badly, because you're going to be begging 10, 20 years down the line for them to put you in their films, and they ain't going to do that with him now.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like, so his master plan, right, is he's basically teaming up with a few guys who have done a lot of martial arts choreography and stuff like that, and they're creating a film that is going to come out the same time as Blade, which is his kind of master plan to overshadow the release of Blade. Right. And he's been talking about, he goes, the action's going to be better, it's going to be, I think he was hinting that there's going to be vampires in it and stuff like that. It's just like, man, this guy is on one. He's on one, man, because he is just angry about not being in this in this show, man. So nothing to do with DC or Marvel, but interesting. So also a couple of days ago we had sticking with Marvel, we had the investors call there, and Kevin Feige was talking about stuff, and this seems to have gone under the radar with Marvel fans, because every single time non-Marvel fans say to Marvel fans, don't get excited about Daredevil, Punisher, Deadpool, all these guys coming into the MCU, because they are not going to be the freaking same as those characters that you loved, right? Then people are like, no, they're going to do rated R, they're going to do this. Well, I'm sorry, Deadpool is not going to be rated R, right? Because Kevin Feige said on the investor call, he said basically, talking about rated R and talk about Deadpool being rated R, that we've had a PG-13, all of our stuff has been PG-13 since the get-go, and it hasn't stopped us from telling any of the stories that we've wanted to tell, regardless of whether they are, they're more violent or darker or lighter or whatever. And he doesn't think that that's going to stop them from being able to tell the stories of these other characters. So you're not going to get an R-rated Daredevil. You're not going to get an R-rated Punisher, if Punisher ever does appear in this kind of thing. It is going to fit
that's okay with Daredevil, but it's not. Deadpool needs to be unleashed, man. He needs to shoot people in the head point blank and see the blood everywhere, and him just be like, holy, bleep, bleep, bleep. It's not really the same. Whoa.
But I don't know if you remember, like ages back, we were talking about Deadpool and how like people were complaining to Fox, right? Emailing in complaints saying, oh, it's really unfair that that Deadpool is rated R or 18 or whatever, because my kids can't watch it, and it's like, because it's not for them.
Did you ever watch that PG version that they made?
I never watched it. I'm
actually curious now to see what that would look like.
Yeah, I want to exactly. Shall we make it a thing that we're going to see this next time? Once on a Deadpool, whatever it is.
Yeah,
we'll see it, and then we'll kind of see, because you're right. This is the thing. Ed knows that I jump off on one sometimes, right? and I'm jumping off one on this, and I need to step back and actually be like, okay, let's have a look at this, and then critique it, because it might work. You never know. And if it
knows?
works, it works. You know what I mean? So
maybe that could be good for Ryan Reynolds, because I'd argue that maybe with the second film, the second Deadpool, he was off the range too much with some of his quips and with the curse. Maybe it was just like a little too old. Like he knew he could do anything, and it just seemed a bit. It took the value away from it after like 30 minutes of him going off like that. So I don't know.
Yeah. I think sometimes with these creative guys, they have this thing in their head, and when they're unleashed, the same as with George Lucas, when he was like wanting all this kind of stuff, and then in the original Star Wars, like Harrison Ford would say to him, George, you can't do that, right? Even though this is like a guy who's like a jobbing actor in those days, like he was a carpenter on the set or whatever, was saying like, George, you can't do that, because you kind of had to tell these people. And it's the same way with James Gunn, kind of having to be told. But it's the same way with this as well. Like there was that scene when Deadpool's dying, and I'm just like, this is going on forever and ever and ever. And Ryan Reynolds thinks this is the funniest thing in the world, right? But it's like after a while, it's just like, oh no,
Joke, where's Finn?
Yeah. So yeah, we'll watch that. We'll come back to you guys and then kind of see, man. So let's move back to DC, because you guys, and I'm quite jealous of this. You guys had somebody who had seen Justice League, right?
Well, we always have to be careful because we don't want to expose this individual.
Yeah. Of course.
They're they'll get in a lot of trouble. But I guess, for people that maybe doubters, like, got 3 weeks to find out whether it's all true or not. But yeah, they're always explicit. They don't want to spoil anything, so you don't have to worry that there aren't anything that will ruin. God, it's a lot to. Do you want me to go through everything? It's a lot of.
No. I
go through your questions that you asked.
Should we go? Yeah, should we go through this thing there first? So what I kind of wanted to know was, when I watched Justice League, it seemed to me like there was no tonal similarity to any of the other films, BVS or Man of Steel. Does the tone of those previous films match the tone of Zack Snyder's Justice League? So it actually looks like a comprehensive trilogy.
For that particular question, he said yes. Most of the wacky quips and gags have either been scrapped or isolated to Ezra Miller's Flash. The tone isn't as dreadful as BVS, but more hopeful rather. Faith in healing.
Dreadful.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Faith in healing are the strong themes in this version.
Yeah, it's going to be very religious, isn't it? This film, I could tell it's going to be very Superman Jesus.
Yeah, that was always Zack's thing, innit? Yeah, Superman was basically the Messiah.
Yeah, it's going to be very much like that. Last week, I think it's last week or the last time we talked, we were kind of saying like the stuff that we see from the trailers actually looks like the film storyline seems to be similar, but maybe fleshed out a bit more or something. What did that guy say anything about that?
He did. Let me. You have to whiz through It basically said, if I'm just paraphrasing, that it is still beat for beat similar. Like DC fans, like people who are like championing the Snyder Cut, may be a little disappointed in that it's not as different as they were hoping, because it is does still hit the same markers, even though it is double the film with extra background for like Aquaman and Cyborg. It still is largely the same film, but just handled better dialogue, better visuals. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
well, let me ask some of the other questions you asked.
Yeah.
One of the ones was, is it open-ended or a definitive ending?
Yes, so that is
very much open-ended, frustratingly so, knowing the state of the current DCEU timeline.
Oh no. No, it's gonna be like, oh god. I'll tell you. Shall I tell you a crappy little story? You're probably not gonna find amusing, but basically, right? Okay. When I first got married, my my wife's not really into films. She doesn't really watch films at all. But on TV, there was Twilight. Twilight was on, right? And she's like, oh yeah, this interesting. Should we, let's watch this. Like first time she's ever said. So we watched it, and she was like enthralled by this film. Like thought it was literally the greatest thing ever.
Yeah.
After that, every single time there was a sequel, I took her to the cinema, and my wife never goes to the cinema, right? So I took her to the cinema every single time. Now, I can't remember which one it is, right? But one of these ends on a massive cliffhanger, right? It's like a ridiculous cliffhanger where this thing ends on. I think it's like it's either the second or the third one, right? And no lie, we were in the cinema with all these like it's like all these teenagers and stuff, basically, right? And my wife's like, this film ends, and my wife's like, no, and I'm like, what? So, it's like literally like she was actually like shocked that this cliffhanger, right? And that's probably gonna be my reaction to what's gonna happen at the end of this, because I'm gonna be like, in fact, I know the ending of this anyway. Zack's told everybody the ending of this. Everybody knows what's gonna happen at the end of this anyway, right? But yeah, it's gonna be like, why, why the hell did you do this, Warner Brothers? Especially now you're like, we're rebooting absolutely everything.
I'm imagining, he doesn't say this, so this is just me going off. I'm imagining that you're just not going to get the resolution to the whole Darkseid story. That's just going to be introduced, and then
that's why there's a campaign that is going on, and a couple of writers have expressed interest in this from DC, of actually creating a comic book or graphic novel, trade paperback, of completing the end of it. And I'd be more than happy with that, because then nobody on this earth can say, right, that's not comic book accurate, because there's a comic book.
There you go.
Actually of it, right?
And you'd think DC would kill for anything that would get more press outside of, and I mean DC Comics, and they'd kill for something that would get more attention outside of their usual readership, because comics aren't really in a good place right now.
Yeah. However, the parent company of Warner Brothers, AT&T, have been actively trying to dump DC Comics for the past 2 years. They've been trying to they want to keep the IP, but they want to literally dump the comic book arm off to somebody else. There was a thing like, and the thing is, nobody can afford to buy it, right? Because it's too expensive, right? And distribute and do all that kind of stuff. The only one company that they were saying has an interest in buying it and could buy it was Apple, right? And it's like, why would they sell DC to Apple when Apple is a digital company? Getting involved in something like that could create a whole can of worms in Apple trying to create stuff on their
digitally exclusive. DC Comics could only be read digitally on an iPhone or an iPad, and nothing else. No physical copies anymore.
Ever, literally ever. And why would a company buy DC Comics without, especially one that is, Apple's so rich, they're just like, oh, we're losing crap ton of money on our Apple TV, but we still want to keep it going just for a vanity project or whatever. Why would they buy DC Comics but then be like, we can't put any DC Comic stuff on Apple TV? You know what I mean? It would just it would just be a problem. So
another question you asked, does it tie up Man of Steel and BVS? And he says no, because of its cliffhanger ending, but it fits with the existing films much better than the theatrical cut.
Oh God. Do you know, Ed? I've got to drive back late at night after after watching this, right? And I'm just, oh my God, I'm gonna be slamming my head on the steering wheel all the way back, man. Um, I kind of knew it'd be a cliffhanger ending, but the question is how cliffhanger,
Mm.
right? Because one person's cliffhanger is not another person's cliffhanger, right? So, kind of like, okay, if they show Steppenwolf's killed, Darkseid's on the other side of the boom tube,
Yeah.
and they see him, and it's like, oh yeah, he wants to send his army, but he can't send his army because the boom tube closes, mother box is destroyed, whatever, done. That's not a cliffhanger ending to me. That's an ending, because that's what happens in Justice League War. Is the boom tube closes and it's ended.
Mm.
However, if it's a cliffhanger ending in Superman is still not back the way that he is, and he just goes off somewhere, and it's like, okay, we've got to go and find him and stuff like that. And I don't know, because it looks to me from the trailer he's still in his black suit at the end, right?
Mm.
Which means he's not anywhere near full power, right? He's like, so I don't know. I don't know. My feeling is the ending is the Martian Manhunter ending. That is the Martian Manhunter formation of the Justice League, and then them going and being like, well, Apocalypse's army is coming at some
Coming,
point.
yeah. And we have to be
uh,
prepared.
and that's not a cliffhanger ending to me, because that's
kind
an
of
ending.
It kind of would be for me though, because you want to see that happen, that big war.
Yeah,
but see it.
That is true, but yeah, basically always the criticism of DC films is just stuff just gets destroyed like, everywhere, and it's like if Darkseid and his army turn up, it's like forget about it, mate. The casualty rate would just be insane. Like everybody's getting killed left, right, and center, man. You know what I mean? So it's just like, it just be absolutely completely nuts. But yeah, that's where the weirdness of the Superman stuff and all that kind of comes in, because it's like we know there's a Flash film, and that's going to kind of be multiversy, and it's like this introduces the concept of mother boxes and all that kind of stuff, and then you've got potentially a Superman coming in, which is a Calvin Ellis Superman, which is basically about the multiverse and stuff like that, and it's like it's very difficult to understand what the plan is at DC. It's like
it has to mean that Flash changes the world and it doesn't completely go back to what it was. So that once he's undone whatever mess he creates, we're left with a world where you've no longer got the Cavill, you've got, Michael B. Jordan maybe version of Superman, and these other little versions of these other characters running around. That's kind of how it feels.
I mean,
to me.
that would actually be quite funny, right? If you see that, because it would literally be like, because he meets obviously the Cavill Superman and stuff like that, and it's like he goes back in time, changes it, saves his mum, comes back, and it's like Michael B. Jordan is Superman. That would be the funniest thing ever. Or it's not even Superman, it's a Supergirl. It's like,
yeah, we haven't even mentioned that yet, but let's do one or two more of these, or a couple more of these.
Yeah. So
how is Junkie XL soundtrack? He says triumphant, far better than the generic Danny Elfman score. This is a continuation of the hopeful motifs of Man of Steel, which make a welcome return. Also, all of the licensed songs have been replaced with different songs that were in
Wow. So no Superman theme, no Batman theme. They're all gone.
Well, it could mean that, but when he says licensed songs, I mean like the regular sort of songs that would maybe play in the background of a scene somewhere.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting, because Zack loves putting licensed songs in his films.
Yeah, but these are replaced by different songs. So guess he has his own taste of music from whatever.
Yeah,
room he
yeah.
put
It's
in.
what I'd be interested in seeing is what's Zack and what's Whedon, because it's
Well,
so difficult to tell now. Like, yeah.
do you feel like anything that Joss Whedon did should have stayed? Story beats, action scenes. He says, or they say, I should say that. Not really. I was mainly surprised to see Whedon-esque scenes from the theatrical cut were actually Zack Snyder's all along.
Hmm. So I guess like uh, there's certain things that you look at and you think, was this Whedon? Was this Zack? Like Flash in the prison, when he's in the prison drawing on the guy's face. I would assume that's probably Zack now, thinking what they're saying. There's the main thing that I want the main thing that I want to see is I want to see, how do I put this in a nice way? I can't. I want to see. I want to see Ben Affleck not looking alcoholic, right? Because that guy was clearly suffering at that point. He was
Yeah.
red faced. He was puffy. He just did not look right. He did not look like he should be in there. I don't want to see any of that stuff in there where it looks like he's like that, because it destroys a lot of the stuff.
See, I was thinking that we weren't going to get that version of him, that happened during the break between the reshoots. But then when you look at that little scene that's in the trailer where
yeah.
where it's like, what does Wonder Woman say? I forget what line she says.
We know they said the age of heroes isn't going to come again.
Yeah, and he says it has to. He looks pretty
alcoholic.
Yeah,
you're
like
right.
puffed up there. So no, I don't know.
Yeah. It's like the bit that is on the plane where he's talking with Alfred and stuff like that. He that's the debate. Was that Whedon? Was that thinking? Because he kind of looks like he kind of doesn't look quite with it when when he's doing that, and it will be interesting to see that kind of stuff. It's like they had clearly Gal Gadot was very pregnant at some point in this film, and then that's the reason why, for no reason whatsoever, without any showing of the fact that Wonder Woman wears a cape at any particular point, there's like one scene in Justice League where it's like she's got a cape on, right, and it's like very obvious reason is trying to hide this bump, basically, right? So it's like it's like those things. Did your boy or your girl or they or whoever it is say anything about our man Ray Fisher? Because he's always saying like he's got cut out of everything. And
how was the additional Aquaman / cyborg scenes? I was fascinated by a scene depicting Atlantean communication, something I don't remember from the James Wan Aquaman. Apart from that, just minor scenes that tie into the then upcoming Aquaman movie. However, it is easily apparent that Ray Fisher was madly disrespected in the theatrical cut by the amount of his scenes that were scrapped, altered, or oversimplified. Here, Cyborg's origin story, his relationship with Silas, and his character arc are intact. So looks like a lot more.
Looks like a lot more, yeah. What this looks like to me is like he's so there's always that argument with like, okay, what DC should have done was created a Batman film, created a Cyborg film, had the Aquaman, Wonder Woman, all that kind of stuff, and then put all this stuff there together. And it kind of looks to me like there's probably a lot of Cyborg backstory in this to flesh out this one character, because the other characters have already been fleshed out. And does Batman really need to be fleshed out? Everybody kind of knows his story anyway. And maybe Flash. I would probably expect a lot more Flash stuff in this, because they kind of got to bring out the Flash a bit more. The Flash always, to me, when I watched Justice League, was the most disappointing character in it, because I find him super annoying. And for all the things that I hate about Suicide Squad, I hate that film with an absolute passion. But the one thing that I thought was quite cool was when Captain Boomerang was trying to steal from that place and the Flash turns up. I was like, that is cool, man, because it's like he was like cheeky, cool ass Flash who's like, mate, you're going straight to prison now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I thought that part of it was pretty awesome. But then it's like you see him in Justice League, and it's like he's a completely different person. He's like, oh, I'm unsure of myself, whatever. Mate, you're stopping people robbing banks. You're stopping Captain Boomerang robbing banks, yeah, and you're saying you can't go and save people. What are you talking about? You know, what's the timeline? You know what I mean?
I'm curious to see what different jokes. I'm pretty sure the scene that he meets Bruce, that's probably going to be pretty much the same. I think that was Whedon's one. But from there on, I'm curious to see what different jokes were in Whedon's tone compared to what Snyder does. Because it seems like he's the one that's got all of those quips.
Does your what should we put, source say anything about whether this is because they said it might be split into 4 parts, or did they split it in any way, or did they keep it as one long thing, or what did they do anything like that?
Does it feel like you're watching a 4-hour movie? He says it feels quite long, but it's broken up into chapters plus an epilogue, Tarantino style, with chapter headers, which help detract from the long runtime. It's like a superhero Magnolia. So if you've seen the film Magnolia, it's chopped up into those.
Yeah, not to be confused with Steel Magnolias, which is a very different film. There's do you know what? People shouldn't say stuff like that. You should not say this is like Tarantino, because now in my mind, I'm going to be watching this thinking, okay, I'm looking for Tarantino level dialogue.
No. But I guess just in the way that a scene will end, it'll go to black and you just have a little title of 3 or something.
Because that is interesting. That is interesting, I guess, because it's trying to make it. That is also a departure from the other stuff there as well. Obviously, some of the stuff we can't go in without going into spoiler territory. But one of the things that I hope for is the redemption of Jesse Eisenberg. Right? I
didn't ask him about that. I did ask him about the Joker though.
Okay, what does he say about the Joker?
Is Leto's Joker improved on his previous appearance, and he says his presence is quite disturbing and opens up a big can of worms. That's all they said.
Yeah. This is from all the stuff that I'm seeing that Zack is releasing, it seems like in this post-apocalyptic world, like the Joker thinks he's some kind of messiah and stuff like that, and he's like, it's like it's crazy. It's gonna be absolutely mad. Whatever it is, it's gonna look glorious. Know that for definite. It is. I'm not expecting Tarantino level dialogue or whatever, but from what you're saying, I get the gist of basically the film has the basic same outline, however more fleshed out, more cyborg, if that's your kind of thing. Some of the jokes are still in there,
but isolated to Flash.
But isolated to the Flash, who's now Peter Parker, basically, right? I guess. And
they do say, when we asked them, is it actually a good film? Yes, I think so. It is more emotionally engaging, less hectic. Personally, this is second for this individual. It's second to Man of Steel in the DCEU, followed by Wonder Woman.
Wow.
So they preferred Man of Steel, then this, then Wonder Woman.
That's interesting. That is interesting.
But that could be anything, because a lot of people love Wonder Woman as being the best. So I guess it comes down to individual taste, doesn't it?
Those people don't know anything about those people can't be trusted, man, honestly, because half the people who say stuff like that would be like, oh, well, actually it's WW84, which is the best film that's ever been made, DC or Birds of Prey.
God, I forgot Birds of Prey even existed. Wow, you just reminded me of that.
Well, are we now? I did a little trench podcast about this like a while back, saying how important this would be, because from that, are we then gonna get people saying, let's release David Ayer's proper version. Let's release Kathy Yan's version.
That won't happen. The Yan
that
cut
ain't never
won't
gonna
ever happen. But if this does well, gets a bunch of subscribers, a whole boost for HBO Max, and I could imagine Ayer's cut isn't that far off of a possibility to be made, because he says he's pretty much got it. I guess he wouldn't need 70 million to complete it like this would.
That's true. Before we get into the Supergirl stuff, have you seen Superman and Lois?
No, I forgot that came out this week. I'm gonna watch it tomorrow.
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what. In a weird, I don't know what's happened to this universe.
You're gonna say you like it, don't you? But CW always starts good. The shows always have a good pilot, and then they go to crap afterwards. Always.
I don't know. Yeah, COVID's just turned this on its head, man. I actually like that Superman show, man. It's not bad. It's not bad. I mean, Lex Luthor is awful. Lex Luthor is terrible.
It's that guy in it from 2.5 Men.
No. Somebody else.
Oh
no, it's not him. Not him. It's another guy. I don't know what his name is, but
why did it change?
I don't know. I don't know. I can't remember whether they actually explain it in this, but yeah, it's not him. It's not it's not the Supergirl Lex Luthor. It is another Lex Luthor. It's good. It's a good Superman. It looks like their effects budget is like quadrupled. It looks like they've actually got it's interesting because whenever I see any CW show, I laugh because I think this suit that I've got behind me is actually better quality than any of the crap that you guys have got on this show. However, it actually looks like they've put some effort into this, and they've actually like given him a suit. I mean, unfortunately, it does look a bit Shazam-y, a little bit too padded like like they've put too much muscles on it. However, it is actually a good Superman. The only one thing that I would say about it is that given the fact that it's Superman and Lois, there's not really any Lois in it. Lois is like a backstory character. It's mainly Superman.
Again, just the pilot. It will become very much the Lois and Clark melodrama by episode 3. Guaranteed.
So I'm kind of I don't know. I'm cautiously pessimistic. What's gonna happen?
I hear that it's got like a Snyder tone to it. The way that it's shot, it's kind of darker, muted.
It's much more Man of Steel-y than CW. It's just the way that it's shot, just the way that it is, just the kind of just the dialogue, the sound, the score's better. It just seems like they're putting more kind of effort into it. And it's weird because when you see Batwoman and you just see like, well, they've got some drama production down the road to bloody make this show. It actually seems like, and we know the A team of the CW is like the F team of another network, but it looks like they've got CW's A team on for that, and that kind of.
What about the actor though? Is he? I just don't.
He's all right. He's
really?
Actually. I get. Do you know what? Sometimes I go into these shows and I'm like, I'm ready to hate on it. I'm ready to be like, God, this is going to be horrible. And whenever I've seen Tyler Hoechlin before in any of those Supergirl things, I've been like, why is this guy Superman? But I think part of the thing of Superman is the physical presence of Superman, right? Is like, he's huge, he's tall. It's like you look up to this guy. It's like when you look at Tyler Hoechlin, it's like, okay, he's 6 foot, but unless you're 5'5", it's like a 6 foot person is not Superman. A 6 foot person is like the average bloke down the street or whatever.
How much better would this have been if it was Brandon Roth though, with his the bigger S?
Yeah, it would have been way better because Brandon Roth has a physical presence to show that I am Superman. Not only that, Brandon Ross could much more convincingly pull off a Clark Kent role than this guy can, because this guy really pulls off very well Smallville Clark Kent, right? Like the country boy Clark Kent. But it's like, like when Dean Cain was Clark Kent, and it's like you could tell from his facial structure, he's a bloody, hench off dude, right? It's just, and it's like you're not pulling off this geeky reporter or this, this whatever very well, right? And it's the same kind of thing with this guy. Is like, it seems like when he's trying to do that geeky reporter thing, he's overacting. Whereas with Brandon Routh, it's like it's natural kind of thing. And that transformation when he becomes Superman is great there as well. But it's a vast improvement.
They did him no favors though, this guy, Tyler, whatever his name is, when they had that whole crossover thing in the Flash and Supergirl, and they had him next to the Brandon Roth. It just kind of highlighted how Superman, Clark Kent he was, because he just didn't even look at him when he was on screen next to Brandon in the suit.
And I think they've listened to some of that and been like, okay, well, we need to change this up a bit. That's why they've like over padded this suit, because he looks like a freaking beast now walking around.
It wasn't just the suit though; like, it was just his energy though. Roth has that sort of 100%. Innocence. I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Roth actually has the what's the word? The presence.
Yeah.
The presence of suit. It's kind of like when you go and you watch back Batman, right? When you go and watch back the Dark Knight trilogy, and then you see Affleck as Batman, right? It's like Affleck's got a presence, man, as Batman. When at the time when we were seeing when we're seeing those Dark Knight trilogies, it's like, this is really cool the way that he is, but Affleck's presence is very, very different. Brandon Routh has that kind of thing. It's definitely improvement. It's definitely improvement. And with DC fans, any glimmer of hope, is
grab onto it, hold on to it. I'm gonna give it a look. I definitely look forward to seeing it.
Just give it a look, and then we got a lot of stuff to do, man. We've got to go watch Deadpool and Wanda and this stuff. Did you see the TV spot for Winter Soldier and Falcon that dropped today?
Oh, a new one? No, I didn't.
It's called Hope. It's quite cool because it shows more of the kind of show. I mean, one of the things that concerns me a little bit about Falcon and Winter Soldier is when I'm reading about the stuff, they're saying don't trust the trailers because the trailers are all action.
Yeah,
it's saying like that
there's more to it than what we're seeing.
Yeah, but then all the trailers are like full on action. If you watch this one, it's called Hope, right? And they're kind of showing more about how these guys are trying to take on the mantle of Captain America. I really like this TV spot. Like I wish you'd actually seen it, because when I saw it, it's like they're throwing around the Captain America shield and stuff like that. And I'm like, yeah, man, I'm liking this quite a lot. I think it's pretty cool. And your boy Mackie comes off as all right as well in this.
He's the side guy. He's not alone. You can't ruin it if he's not alone.
He comes off as all right. And there's more Winter Soldier stuff in it as well. It's not long. It's not as long as the trailer. It's like a minute or so long. But yeah, that's really piqued my interest. Bit more Zemo stuff in it as well. So that's going to be coming, I guess, almost straight after Wandavision there as well.
How many more Wonders we got? 2? 1 or 2?
I think it's isn't it 1?
Wow.
Isn't it the last episode? Because they said the last this one and the next one was meant to be 1 hour. Yeah, it's 1. It's the next one is the last one, right? And then we've got Winter Soldier and Falcon after that, and then we got Loki after that.
This looks weird. Loki looks weird. I don't know what's
that's the one I'm looking the most forward to, because I just want it. As long as they don't baby the audience, and it's just absorb the weirdness and try and figure out what the hell's going on, then yeah, I'll be interested in that, man. So
it's like he's in purgatory or something, some weird like, I don't know, it's crazy. But yeah, I'm looking. Go on.
Yeah, go on.
I was just gonna say, I'm just looking forward to the Falcon and Winter Soldier. I wasn't too sure before, but I'm intrigued now. So
yeah, so I think sometimes you want to sit down and you want to watch a mystery, and other times you want to just watch people beating the shit out of each other.
Exactly.
And yeah, that's what that's going to be, man. So it looks like with this, they're kind of flipping around. So like Loki's going to be like, what the hell is going on here? Right?
Mystery, action, mystery. Yeah, that's the way, up and down, up and down.
That's the way to do it. So the one after that is going to be people beating the shit out of each other again, which will be interesting. Shall we finish off briefly talking about Supergirl reveal in Flash?
Latina Supergirl.
Yes, and in fact we've forgotten Blue Beetle as well, right? So Blue Beetle as well. You know, we're gonna get a Blue Beetle with a Latino director, and obviously the Latino.
Finally, we've been saying that for months. And finally, they're listening. It was a no-brainer. Supergirl, though, I did not see coming. That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming at all either. But it's interesting because within days of that, we get this thing coming out about we're kind of rebooting Superman, and it's like from J.J. Abrams and stuff like that, and it's like flipping heck, man. I'll tell you what, my estimation of Henry Cavill has just gone up 15 levels. This guy is the most professional man in the world, right? It's like he's not coming out and being like Ray Fisher, like, oh, you know, they're treating me badly. Where's my contract? You know, they're chucking me out, all this kind of stuff. Because he knows, man, if he behaves and he plays the game, it's like he's got Witcher coming up. They're going to give him something else later on. You know, he's going to be longevity, man, is what it's about. And I rate his professionalism for that.
He knows how to play the game. He doesn't get... And he doesn't seem to have a big ego like, you know, a lot of these Hollywood guys.
So back in the days, like these kind of like soaps, right, were like people used to watch these soaps like crazy, like Sunset Beach and, you know, all these kind of things. And apparently
loved Sunset Beach. Loved it.
Sunset Beach with the worst ending ever.
It's terrible, but I loved every minute of it. Evil twins. They actually had evil twins turning up in that show.
And they were British. They were British as well. That's the classic.
And Diamond Thief. Loved it.
Oh, it was great. It was great. But apparently this the actress who's going to be playing Supergirl is in Days of Our Lives or something. That's basically where she's from.
Sasha Kelly.
So I actually thought Days of Our Lives was a joke series. You know, when Joey was in it, like Joey was in it or whatever in Friends, and I thought it was just a joke. They made it up, right? But actually, this is a proper show, and it's like one of those things. Like in Mexico, they have
Telemundo.
What they call them, telenovelas, whatever they call them, and they're super popular and stuff like that. And I guess their plan is basically that we're going to bring in a massive new audience to this with the Blue Beetle and with all the other kind of stuff, man. It's kind of gone past the stage where it's just like, oh, we're going to target one audience. You have to go and, you know, get other people.
Everybody. They're really kind of experimenting now. I think they've realized they've, you know, hit a stumbling block and they're just doing a Hail Mary now and just, all right, let's just go right outside of the box. We're done trying to look at what Marvel doing. Let's just kind of go crazy with it and have a black Superman, a Latino Supergirl. People think she's going to dye her hair blonde. She ain't. She's gonna keep it brown. I guarantee that.
Yeah, guaranteed. And the funny thing is, like, okay, go back to the Calvin Ellis Black Superman. It's like in that comic book, there's an Indian Green Lantern, right?
Oh, interesting.
Wow.
Wow.
They literally flip the script on all these characters,
So
man. So if they
Justice League is the United Nations now. It's just like all these
yeah.
different
Yeah,
fascinating. I can't wait.
literally like they start to do stuff like that. So if they do that, man, that's some mad shit. All these commentators on YouTube are gonna go freaking nuts, man, because they're gonna be like no, this is not acceptable, whatever. It's like, mate, okay, this is from the comic books. You guys are always saying, why do you not follow the comic books? Well, we are actually following it right now. So yeah, we'll see what is going on, man. But yeah, do you think this was that they're trying to get rid of Henry Cavill's Superman by replacing with this character?
I don't see why they'd want to though. He seems to be willing to come back. Seems to be happy to come back. He's been a good ambassador for them. He hasn't done anything scandalous. You know, he's the sort of guy that you could send to a kids' hospital and you don't have to worry about there being some TMZ footage of him elbowing a nurse or a kid or something. Like, you could trust this guy. But I don't know, Warner ain't got no value in him. Like, that's just that. Guess they don't see it.
I think do you know one of the problems is this? His agent is The Rock's ex-wife.
Oh yeah. Maybe they're too aggressive with their negotiations.
Yeah, and the problem is if you're The Rock, however much we don't really like The Rock, right? Yeah. You kind of have this star power, and you could say, "I want this," and they'll say, "Okay, fine, we'll give it to you." But if you're Henry Cavill and you say it, it's like, no, yeah. I don't think so, mate. You know, because you basically what in effect they're going to be doing is saying like, okay, well, let's look at your draw here. When we had Justice League, you know, it was like 600 million or something that it made. You know, Man of Steel, 570 million. It's like, are you a big draw? Should we put you in there? And then, you know, it's probably thinking, well, yeah, you know, whatever, I'll go for whatever project that kind of comes my way. But yeah, I've got the feeling if the mad thing about this is if they are tying it into that other stuff, then in Man of Steel they had that thing where one of the pods was open and the person had gone from there, and they were thinking, okay, was that Kara Zor-El who disappeared from this thing?
Yeah.
And if Flash messes up the timeline, then she could actually be alive at that point, and he's brought her into this thing, which then ties it into Man of Steel. And then you think, why the hell did he not do that in the first place?
There was that little comic in it that was endorsed by Snyder that confirmed that it was her in some form, or Kryptonian at the very least. But yeah, it was just.
And then if they do that, I'm honestly going to scream, because I'm going to be like, you guys have got a structure here, and you just
wasted.
What are you doing?
And then there was the actress that I loved. What, that German actress that was Zod's general? Remember the female Kryptonian?
Oh yeah.
I loved her. And Zack was always saying, yeah, she's still alive. They're just in a different direction. They'll come back. Nope, not anymore. And she was awesome, man. I'm so bummed I never see her again.
Feora,
that was
Feora, yeah. That is, yeah. Because that, do you know when that stuff came out and the fighting in there was just insane, man. To actually see that kind of thing was just just mad. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see that kind of thing there again. So I guess we've got 2.5 weeks left until Justice League. 2.5 weeks till Justice League, and just content upon content coming up. If you guys are comic book fans, right, and you're growing up today, right, you're in your 20s or whatever, you guys have never had it so good. I have
no idea what it was like waiting years upon years for any morsel of any comic book in live action. Like, it was just a rarity. All you had was like the occasional cartoon on TV.
Yeah, I mean, we waited. When I was in high school, we were basically getting super excited over Batman and Robin, and went and saw it in the cinema and thought it was flipping awesome. Thought it was awesome, right? Because it's just like, yeah, literally just like, oh god, just getting copies of Empire, Empire magazine, and being like, oh my god, Arnold Schwarzenegger's actually in this. It's like, and you guys have now got this level of content, which is just on another level, man, compared to the stuff. So he's super lucky, man.
One more thing for them to watch. There's like news that's just broken that there's a Terminator anime series coming to Netflix. That was another thing we had to wait friggin' years to get any additional content of. Now gonna get a whole friggin' series of it.
Terminator anime. That's the way that they should go, man. The amount of times they've ruined this flipping Terminator thing, man, is just absolutely mad. So yeah, I mean, the first two Terminator films are pucker. But it's like Netflix has good animes, man. So I'd be definitely looking forward to that. They should do the same with Predator as well. If they do the same with Predator, put that on there, it would be awesome. And Alien, do it with Alien as well, man. Sometimes these things, they need to be like 3 or 4 years where they're just just producing background content, right? And then you can bring it. Like, I think right now is the time for them to remake a live action Avatar Last Airbender thing, right? Because
Netflix
this thing,
are doing it.
They're doing it, are they?
Yeah, Netflix.
Amazing. Because that thing has picked up so much traction in the last few years after that horrendous live action M. Night Shyamalan film.
Oh, never forgive it for that. Never forgive it for
that. So because of that, this is the time. So they should do the same for Alien, Predator, Terminator. Just make everybody forget all of this stuff, and then you can bring our stuff there in the future, man. Around the same time that Avatar 5 or whatever it is comes out, and that's the same time that you could start doing those kind of things, man. So guys, loads of content. We will see you again, hopefully on time. To talk about Deadpool and Wandavision finale, man. You can basically let us know what you think on dcvsmarvelpod@gmail.com, or go to the most active, which is the Facebook page, which is DCVS Marvel Podcast. Interesting conversation going on there about Superman and Lois at the moment. People ripping each other.
What's the general thought? Positive, negative?
Positive, yeah. But then with some people being like, Henry's the only man. Yeah. So whatever. But yeah, there's it's a talking point, I guess. Once again, you can catch Ed's on the other show that he does there as well.
Talking at the movies. We have a little more on that whole our inside source, talking about Justice League. A couple more questions that we answer and read out, and we've also got the rewatch of the MCU. So we've just finished watching Captain America: Last Avenger. Avengers next week. Loving it so far.
Are you going in order?
In order.
You going in? Yeah, okay.
In release order.
In release order. So you're on Thor now, are you?
No, we've done Captain America, Avengers next week, and then that's phase
Avengers
1.
next week. Okay, done. Cool. So you've done Iron Man 1, Iron Man 2.
Yeah.
Did he do Hulk? Did he
yep,
include Hulk in it?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Cool. And then Avengers. It'll be. Guys, you should check that out, because it's been a long time since I've actually watched a lot of these films, and it'll be interesting to know where they stand up 10 years down the line. You know what I mean? So that will be cool. So you can check out on that.
Talking at the movies on all podcasting platforms. And if you want to watch this, if you only listen to the audio of this, and also on the other podcasts, and you want to see our beautiful, beautiful faces, then go to Voltron Network on YouTube, guys. Check us out. Give us some love, subscribe, thumbs up, help people find us.
Yeah, guys. Just please just subscribe. I always say this. Why are the people who are listening to this not subscribe? Look, even if you don't watch a single video, right? Just subscribe to it, like it, tell everybody else to watch it, stuff like that, and then see, because then that makes our reptile brains think, oh, let's put on some more content for you guys and stuff like that. We may even possibly have a reaction video straight after we watch the Snyder Cut and stuff like that. So,
Definitely will.
That could be interesting. So so make sure to check out that, guys, and yeah, we'll see you again soon. Wandavision finale next week, man. So yeah.
Later, guys.